Hello, it is a special show today looking at a new feature in Serato. It is Serato Stems for official accessories. And what this means is that you can now use the real-time stems that Serato has got built into its software. They're some of the best out there for separating vocals and drums and bass lines and acapellas and all the good stuff that you can do. Live re-drums, basically anything that involves taking elements of the song and either muting them or soloing them. We know this, it's been around for a little while now, but it's only ever worked on Serato controllers. And that means that if you use something like the CDJs or the Denon DJ LC or SC 5000 or 6000 players or the RANE 12 controller decks, which have all got buttons on that could, well, they're over here actually, all got buttons on that could potentially be used for this, controlling your stems in a pro DJ setup. You haven't been able to do it because it only works with the Serato controllers. So the way it works with Serato controllers is really clever. You can switch out a pad mode that you don't use, like loop roll or slicer or whatever, and you can have that going with the stems controls, which are very easy to turn on and off and to add certain effects. Now that's come to the official Serato accessory family. Now I'm going to show you in this live lesson, and it is live, so that means that you can ask questions at the end if you're watching live, and you can still do so in the comments even if you're not, and we'll get to you. But the beauty of this is we can cover everything you want to know about this. The point about this is that it works with a very wide variety of existing hardware that pro DJs might use in the DJ booth. So for instance, we've got this whole list here from the Serato website that you can see here, every kind of Pioneer CDJ since the CDJ-2000, the RANE 12, both types, the Reloop RP-8000, both types, all the Denon DJ standalone decks, and a couple of others which I haven't mentioned, and that's for good reason. I'll tell you why in a minute. However, how does it work? Well, it's just added a new little option when you've got hardware plugged in. So for instance here, I've got these two to show you that you can use this kind of gear, but the one I've got plugged in is the one most people will use with this, of course, the Pioneer CDJ-3000s. Typically you'd have a pair of these plugged into a mixer, such as the A9 or the DJM900 or whatever. That mixer's plugged into Serato, as are your decks, and the mixer unlocks Serato and the decks give you control over a couple of the decks, right? That's how it works. So once you've got that set up and everything's plugged in, and just if you've never done this before and you're curious as to how it happens, you use usual USB cables to plug into your computer. You probably use a little USB hub so that you can get them all plugged into one USB socket on your computer, so you're not kind of jamming them all up, but that's basically how it works. Once all that's plugged in, these units work as a MIDI controller with Serato. So in the settings, you just select controller mode, and once you pop onto there, you get the control mode where you can see what's going on inside Serato, and you get your views of your waveforms and all the other cool stuff as well. It's really simple. It's all in our Serato course actually. So if you are a Serato user wanting to use Serato in all these weird and wonderful ways, check out Serato DJ Made Easy over on our Digital DJ Tips courses page. Anyway, let's look at how it works with stems. So the overall idea here is that now we can switch out a pad mode on supported accessories such as this for the stems function in Serato. So that all happens in the software. So I'm going to switch over to Serato here now, and we'll show you how it happens. This is Serato plugged in. So in the settings at the top, in the DJ preferences, we always had this line here, replace primary hardware with pad mode with stems, where you could tick this and choose a pad mode you didn't use on your normal DJ controller. But now they've added this new one, replace accessory hardware with pad mode with stems. So if I click on this one and select, in this case, hot cues, because I don't have a choice in the hardware I've got, there's only hot cues on a CDJ-3000, and look at the CDJ-3000, here's my normal hot cues, but if I tick that box in the software, then the hot cues switch over to this blue color here, and a slightly dimmer blue color here. And this means that these are now controlling my stems. So let's have a little listen to that. So you heard there me turning the acapella on and off, the drums on and off, the bass line if you're listening on your phone, you won't hear the bass line, but turning the elements on and off. Now, it gets better than that because the next controls are the ones that on a normal Serato 4x4 pad setup are going to be the 4 underneath, which on this CDJ are these ones here. And they control the special on-off effect kind of, well, it's best to show you. Let's have a listen. I'll press these ones in order. And this is a nice way of controlling the stems. Again, it's not new, it's just now available on this. So you've probably got questions about this. That's it, by the way, that's it. And it works on any Serato, most Serato hardware. Let's talk about some of the things here that are good and bad. So it's good that it's there. Serato really are looking after their users. It's very little gear now that these don't work on, including all controllers going back quite a long way and most standalone gear, right? So most standalone decks, accessories. So in other words, they've made stems really easy to use on all hardware. So if you haven't got hardware that uses stems, which is still not much, then you're not going to worry too much. And they've also made them completely MIDI mappable, by the way, but no one wants to do that when they can just press a button, right? It's a lot easier to press a button. So they've made it accessible and easy to use for most of their users, which is great. However, there are a couple of things that are, one of them to do with Serato and one of them to do with the CDJ-3000, because all CDJs actually, because, well, they've got limited controls and that causes some issues. So the first one is quite a curious one, and it's this. If you look carefully at the Serato beta website, and by the way, there's an article where I will show you where to get this software. It's not quite in the release version yet. 3.1 is only a public beta or beta for our stateside friends. If you have got a Serato account, which of course you have because you're a Serato user, you can go into the forum and find this. We'll give you the link in the article that will be underneath this video where you're watching it. However, this is the list of the devices that it works with. Pretty cool. But if you scroll down, at the bottom here, it says known issues. The Reloop Neon and the Pioneer DJ DDJ-XP2 do not support sampler mode as a replacement option for stems. This will be removed in a future beta update. So in other words, if you've got the Reloop Neon or you've got this one here, and you think, oh, the one I don't use is sampler mode, then you can't actually replace that. You've got to choose something else. It's only a small thing, but it's worth pointing out. The other thing, which is a bigger thing, is that this doesn't have enough buttons to do stems and hot cues at once. Now, hot cues are important, right? You'll have noticed that when I switched it out, these turned away from my hot cues. To go back into the software, and to go back into the settings and turn it off, turn off replace accessory hardware pads with stems. Now I've got my hot cues back. But if I want to use stems, as soon as I turn this on, they've gone and I'm on the stems, right? Which is, that's what I've asked for, but I now don't have my hot cues. Hot cues are quite useful. So it's a shame that you haven't got the ability to somehow have them both running. Now this is beta software. It's been designed to work with all accessories that Serato supports and doesn't really at the moment do anything special with the CDJs. The CDJs are the thing that most DJs who use Serato in the Pro booth are likely to use. So I hope that they will do some changes. A couple of ideas. You could have an option in there where instead of having the Serato effects on 5 to 8, you actually have the stems on 5 to 8, just on and off, and then hot cues 1 to 4 remain, or A to D as they like to put them, which would be one way around it. So you still get 4 hot cues, a bit like the split performance pads mode that you already have in Serato. So that could be a way forward, and that wouldn't be too hard, wouldn't be too big a leap from how it works now on controllers. So that could be a way to fix that. Also, you saw me going to the software here and clicking this replace accessory hardware pad mode on and off, as I'm doing now, in order to click these on and off, as you can see going on here now. You could MIDI map that button. so that you could have a button like the jog mode button or something on the unit itself. Something you don't use on the unit could be used to switch quickly between hot cues and slicer mode, just the same way as you would do on normal pads, which should completely solve the problem. So I'd like to see Serato coming up with a way of making it easier to switch in and out of the stems mode, or to have a split mode in the CDJ-3000s and indeed the other CDJs. So that is the only thing that's I found a bit of a trip up, a bit of something that I didn't like when I was messing around on this. I haven't messed around on the other gear. I've actually been out of the country. I got back about an hour ago and really wanted to come here and present this, so I've only had time to install the software and have a quick play and show you on the CDJ-3000s. So that is how stems work with official Serato accessories. It's in 3.1, it's only in the beta. The article that is linked underneath this video, or that is underneath this video, depending where you're watching it, has got details of where to get this software from, so you can go and play for yourself now. A couple of other things then. Of course, the main reason that you want to use stems is to get a nice a cappella of anything in real time. But the a cappellas you get from stems, even really, really good stems, are not always usable. And so what would you do if you wanted to get an a cappella of something that just didn't sound good on your software? Well, we've written about it over on Digital DJ Tips, and indeed the top article as I write, or rather as I speak to you, is Where DJs Get A Cappellas 2023 edition, where we go through how it happens. There's a recording of our live show about this topic there as well. All the info you need underneath, so go check that out. Another thing you should go and check out is this. Coming very soon, our brand new course, Mixing with Acapellas and Stems. It is a course that covers why you should be mixing with acapellas and stems. It covers the gear, the software, including all the free and paid ways to create your own stems ahead of time that sound better than the ones that even Serato can do. It's got detailed overviews of how stems work in all platforms, standalone and software that have got them. It's got where you can find and create your own studio acapellas, great sounding acapellas, or indeed the official acapellas, the places to go to look for those. Then once you've got some, we go on to teaching you the stuff that everyone asks every time about this. Things like how to beat grid them so that they work in time with your music, how to mix them in key, how to use them when you've only got 2 decks, because hey, you've tied up your next track with an acapella. So what's the workflow to use acapellas? Things like timings and levels, cues and loops, how to use them with effects. And then probably the most exciting part of the course, it's got dozens of done for you tricks and transitions using acapellas and also using stems, things like drums and so on, the extra bass line, extra bits as well, as because it's not all about acapellas, right? We've got dozens of these in that course. It's nearly finished actually, so you ought to sign up for this list so that we can let you know when it goes live, and so that you can get it in its opening launch, which is always a very juicy saving for everyone who buys it in the first few days. So you won't want to miss that. Head to this page to get to this page and to enter your email address here in order to be told when this goes live. All you got to do is go to djtips.co, djtips.co, and then /stems. That's it, djtips.co/stems will take you to that page that I just showed you, and you can be the first to know when our stems course comes out. Okay, people, we are ready to throw open the lines, as they say in network radio, and to chat to you about this. How do you feel about this? Is it a good thing? Is it a good addition? How do you feel about stems? Is it something that you're going to be using? Is it something you do use? Is it all a flash in the pan? Well, we can chat with you about that now, because I have all your comments coming in live here in our chat center on the computer. So hello everyone. Hello to Kesha and Paul and Big Joe Joyce and Catherine, Mixmaster G and Don and Frederick, and to Craig and to V, who says, judge me if you like, I've been DJing for 12 years now. And then it kind of ended. So I guess you were going to say, I never use stems or something like that. But anyway, whatever it was, you ought to come back and finish that sentence. That'd be good. Hello to DJ Ginormous and to Catherine. You don't like my music. Jermaine says, finally, a reason for my XP2, the absolute don of add-on Serato accessories. The reason for my XP2, I got it as a gift and I barely use it. Yep, plug this in. You know, the beauty of this is, one thing I didn't tell you in that actual tutorial, because a lot of people who wanted that info will have gone now, right? So I can give you some more background. One thing I didn't tell you is, because I wanted to show you all these other units on the desk, I didn't set up the mixer, right? I didn't set up our Pioneer mixer with two CDJs. I just set up one in the middle, but you can't do that with Serato. With Serato, you've got to have a primary unit. These are accessories, these are secondary. You've got to have a primary unit with the sound card in. So behind my desk here, I have got plugged in order to unlock Serato and get it to work, get the audio out. I've got a controller, which you've got an XP, a Flex 4. That off the camera is what was unlocking Serato and letting me then use this as an accessory deck. This is also an accessory, the XP2. If you plug this into Serato, nothing will happen. But if you plug it in as well as a controller, like the little Flex 4 there or something, have it kind of on a nice stand behind your main controller, then this unlocks like 16 pads for each side, for each deck, with loads of modes and loads of extra stuff as well. It's a really nice addition if you don't want to get a new controller with more buttons on it, but you're happy with your controller, but you do want more buttons. Also very good if you're using DVS, because turntables don't have buttons on them, right? You can replace a lot of them that way. So I'm glad you finally found a way to use it, Jermaine. Any questions about stems? You ask away and I will read out any that come along here. This is Mixmaster G saying the color blue on the stems. I've switched them back now to my hot cues, haven't I? But the color blue could be confusing because that's the default color for Traktor hot cues. I guess there's not an awful lot of people who regularly use Traktor and Serato, so yeah, but I take that though, thank you. This is, so my reminder now that if you've got questions that are not to do with stems, come back on Thursday, because that's our open house, any questions that you want to ask. So just come back with those questions then, please. Mixmaster G and Ginormous are chatting in the chat on YouTube, saying there doesn't seem to be much difference. Let's turn them back on so I can show you what they're talking about. Saying there doesn't seem to be much difference between the two blue colors that are being used in the stems. Well, actually there is. So here's the two blue colors. This is the blue color that says whether it's on or off, and this is the blue color that is used for the pads 5 to 8. And you're right, they do look exactly the same. But if I dim the camera down to how it really is, that's how it really appears. So you've got the 4 here that are brighter and the 4 here that are dimmer. In fact, it appears more like that, I would say. But of course, cameras being cameras, if I do that, you can't see anything else on that shot. So as soon as I get it up nice and bright, the colors all bleach out. Such is the life of a technical person trying to represent DJ gear, or indeed any electronic gear on cameras. Right, so yeah, the blues are separate. Right, what else have we got here that is about stems? This is some DJ Ginormous, who says the best takeaway here is that all the software creators are bending over backwards to innovate. Yes, they are indeed bending over backwards to innovate. And other people saying that not all tracks are created equal, and stems for older tracks really is hit and miss. It never hurts to make your own stems in advance. It does definitely benefit you to make your own acapellas, for instance, in advance if you can. We've been experimenting with, and indeed we are partnering with, a piece of software called RipX, which is a fantastic piece of software. Got a name check, Mixmaster G, for gently prodding me until I realised that. And indeed they will be offering their software at half price to anyone who buys our acapellas and stems course, which is very kind of them. You will get a student discount on that as soon as you buy the course. Another reason to sign up to that list. That software does a much better job of extracting stems than any algorithms in any of the DJ software do. Right, so and another shortcoming is, and thank you for a couple of people pointing it out, if you have, let's say you've got a setup where you've got 2 CDJ-3000s, but you've also got an XP2. This is your kind of like, and a lot of people do that, they'll have a full setup with an extra here. You can't set this to control stems without this also switching into stems, which is something, again, want to see that fixed. Whether it's a limitation of the accessory mode, I don't know. That at that point you might be actually mapping the buttons in your XP2, which isn't impossible, in order to kind of achieve the same thing, but it's not available off the hook. By the way, if you have just joined us, we're talking about stems now being available across all Serato accessories, which means, of course, the kind of things that you see here, the RANE 12, all the Denon SC and LC decks, and also the CDJs from the 2000 onwards, all now can control stems, and it all happens in the software. You just just go into the software where they've added a new little tick box, replace accessory hardware pad mode with stems, and you get a drop down and you get this choice of different stems modes to replace. In the case of this, of course, I've only got one, which is the hot cues, which is why these are now not in the color they would normally be in, because they're now set to control stems. So that's what we've been talking about. There's an accompanying article telling you how to get Serato's Beta 3.1, which controls these stems, so you can have a play with it for yourself. What else are you saying, people? What else can I help you with chatting about stems or what we've got in front of me? DJ Stu C says the CDJ-3000, a very expensive Serato MIDI controller. Well, yes, it is, but it's also, of course, a lot of other things, hence the fact that it's very expensive. But yep, take your point there, Stu C. The CDJs do sound great, though. They sound noticeably better than my Mix on 4. Thank you for that. Benny, I can see a new CDJ-3000 Mark II, CDJ-3500 or CDJ-4000 with stems and more bells and whistles coming. Yeah, you know, built in standalone stems on the CDJs could be something that's coming. It's already coming to engine DJ equipment. Hello to Craig. It's been a long time since we've had a comment from you on here, Craig, so thank you very much for that. Good to see you, and I hope you're well over on Facebook. Craig says, it's been a while since I could tune in. I watched your a cappella stream and I read your articles the other day. That's the one I showed you earlier on the site, people. I miss the traditional a cappella websites, and yes, I know you can get some from DJ pools, but I'm still not a fan of doing it in real time. I think it was a shame that they've been added to CDJs, but I guess it was inevitable. I guess it would only be a matter of time before they get dedicated buttons, meaning more money to fork out for new CDJ gear for those with gear acquisition syndrome. I'm still waiting for something to get me excited about stems, but this isn't it. So thank you for sharing your view there. Remember, as I was saying, we have got an article where DJs get stems, where DJs get acapellas 2023 edition. So if you really don't like the way stems work in real time and you miss acapellas for you, we name check it in the first sentence of this article, because of course it was the place to get this stuff. Then the article's for you, because I go through where to get these kinds of studio acapellas nowadays, and there's lots of places, as it turns out. So even though there's no acapella websites anymore, because they all got closed down, you can still get these things elsewhere. Right, so DJ Ginormous says, I love stems. They open a whole new level of creativity. It's been good to see Mojax, who at the beginning was really not sure at all about this, admitting he totally loves them now as well. I totally love them. We're making a whole course about them. It's just knowing how to use them properly, I think, is the key. A little bit of knowledge can be a bad thing unless you take the time to learn the rest and do a good job. I think that's true. I've been using a free online stems separator, says Noof on YouTube. For samples, I use it for making lo-fi hip-hop beats and flips. It's been a real game changer for me. Doc Andy says, hi Phil, I just purchased my Prime 4 Plus and was expecting the beta version of stems. Sadly, it's not there. Any idea why? You've got to go and get it and download it. It doesn't come installed on the software dock, so that is why. This one then is from someone on our YouTube who says, hi Phil, is there a way to save your stem analysed music on an external hard drive instead of on your computer? I don't think there is. I think Serato has to have it where Serato wants it. So I think we asked that question, someone asked that question last week. Could it even have been you? Is stems included with Serato, or is it a paid extra? No, it's included with Serato DJ Pro. You even get a cappella and instrumentals, so those the two big ones, with Serato DJ Lite. Right, so does it mean, says Mark, you lose 4 hot cues when the stems are active? So if I wasn't clear, no. It means you lose all the hot cues when stems are active, because these 4 control the effects of stems, pads 5 to 8. So this is now not controlling hot cues at all until you turn it off again in the software, which is definitely a shortcoming of the beta version of this. Turn that off in there, and now those are back to my hot cues, as you can see. So, but there's none at all that are available otherwise. Right, so today we have looked at the way stems is implemented on Serato accessories. The demo has been on the CDJ-3000, and if you're interested in this, again, head over to digitaldjtips.com. Look at this page here that you will find by going to djtips.co/stems. Put your email address in and we will let you know when our full a cappella and stems mixing course arrives. with a really nice saving for everyone who buys it in the first few days, and with a really nice student discount on stems ripping software if you want to prepare your acapellas ahead of time, which is a really good idea. It's good to have both, I think, just in the same way that it's good to be able to use the sync button sometimes and turn it off and freestyle at other times. These things are neither a yes or a no. They're not an either or. They're up to you. You can use them as and when you want. Some people like to prepare ahead of time. Some people like to do it live. The best people, I think, use all these tools to the best of what they're good for. And, you know, sometimes live, to be able to just cut back to the acapella is an absolutely brilliant thing, and you never knew you wanted to do it. So stems definitely has its place. Right, I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, do tune in again on Thursday. We are here every Tuesday and Thursday in college term time from 3 p.m. London, 10 a.m. Eastern. Until then, get good, get out there, make the moments, and do check out the forthcoming acapellas and stems course on djtips.co/stems. Bye-bye.